is one of the aims of LinkedIn to connect recruiters with the job seekers and people who are not actively looking for a job. But what's actually going on behind the scenes, how it's done, and how recruiters actually do it. There are a lot of myths and a lot of things that people think what is going on. So I'd love to dive with you into the topic of LinkedIn Recruiter. So I wanted to hear from both of you. Um, what are your experiences and what do you think about the LinkedIn as the recruitment tool?
Okay, I guess I'll start. Obviously, LinkedIn is the tool that recruiters are using, but maybe not always the smart way. I think a lot of recruiters have a lot of questions about should we pay, should we not pay for a recruiter seat, whichever one it is. And I still, from a candidate point of view, I think there is a lot of apprehension that recruiters can dive into and spy on the candidates. So that's something that is out there. However, I find in my training to recruiters that most of them don't actually know how to use it. So, or at least not, they know how to use it, but not as in depth as they could. So I think it's like with every part of LinkedIn is it's only used for about 10-15%. Not sure about that. So that's my initial thought on on the recruiter module or on recruitment. I what also I see is that I'm seeing a switch today from the job postings on LinkedIn to more active recruitment on LinkedIn. I think companies are a little bit sick of people trying to respond to jobs that they're not qualified for, or they're in a location which doesn't apply, i.e., they come from India to work in Belgium. And I'm done speaking for now.
Thanks, Mick. I think it's very, very good point that um, it's a very impressive tool, but you have to use it correctly. And sometimes in the past, if a position is posted and you get 8,000 applications for a post and job opening, and people are not qualified, so it takes a lot of energy to go through all of the applications. So it's not the most wisely used time. So I agree with you. What about you, Thomas?
Well, what Mick said, that many of the recruiters don't really know how to use LinkedIn, was also an experience for me. And not only LinkedIn, Boolean search. Boolean search, which is not LinkedIn related, is often like, well, I've never heard of, says an executive recruiter. Or, yes, I know about social talent, but and I was trained to be a recruiter ninja or sorcerer ninja, but no, I don't believe in it. Come on, there are so many knowledge out there, and well, at least we have job, but it's very, very, very strange to see how much people don't know tools what they're supposed to use. Um, and yes, the wrongly written uh, job advert brings 8,000 applicants. A well written uh, job advert might bring a lot less, because people read it and they find out that, well, this is not for them. So I think there is a lot of job on both sides. So also on the job seeker and also on the recruiter side, and a lot of studying, learning. What why we are talking about recruitment on LinkedIn a lot of times, because we educators have to learn as well, and I personally have to learn a lot about the talent solutions on LinkedIn. And I'm done speaking now.
Thank you, Thomas. I think Boolean search is a very important tool. I come from a long experience of recruitment. 17 years ago, I started. So it was before LinkedIn times, and then Boolean search was very important tool on Google. So those have been around longer. So I think we shouldn't focus too much on the tools, because the tools are great, but you still have to use a critical mind. So I thought maybe we could dive into some behind the curtains. The LinkedIn newsletters that I publish, it's with screenshots from the LinkedIn paid version that's called LinkedIn Recruiter, that's available for recruiters for 10,000 euro a year subscription. So they have come up with more advanced solutions every year, and every month new things pop up. So something that started as open for work has opened up totally new um, possibilities on LinkedIn. So it's something that you yourself go and change on your free LinkedIn profile. So this is the communication only with recruiters that other people don't see. You fill in your preferences. So there is something that's called are more likely to respond. So this is what recruiters they make a database search, and then they get more likely to respond. And Mick very interestingly said that it's a little bit similar to Sales Navigator. Could you please expand on that?
Yes, definitely. In Sales Navigator, you've got, like on the recruiter module now, the spotlights. And in Sales Navigator, you've got one that says posted in the last 30 days. So, which means that you can actually draw out the people, or you can list the people who are, I would say, more actively using LinkedIn, which means if they post on LinkedIn, they are unlikely to engage faster on posts. So LinkedIn kind of thinks if you post on LinkedIn, you are more likely to engage on posts, which I think that's what they've translated one item to the next. So from the Sales Navigator is who posted, and in Recruiter Lite is they're likely to engage. That's my thought on how LinkedIn has used this functionality on LinkedIn itself. And I'm done speaking.
I I think that um, that this could be very interesting to have this feature on LinkedIn Recruiter, but I think it doesn't have a correlation of when people were active on LinkedIn for Recruiter, because um, I don't see if the person has been active for the past 30 days on LinkedIn Recruiter, or if they have ever posted. Most of the people whom I contact have never posted on LinkedIn. It's based on the open to work. So once they have gone to their profile and set up the open to work, and you can choose different categories. I'm actively applying or casually looking around. So you can have put this sign on a year ago and never once been inside LinkedIn again, and you still come up as more likely to respond, which I think is actually not helpful information for recruiters, because there is no best before date for the when the open to work was activated. So sometimes it happened, yes, that those people are more likely to reply, but not always. I have seen more examples when it's not working. So in fact, I would be very interested to have this feature if the person has posted or actively logged into to LinkedIn within the last 30 days.
Tina, if I may ask, did LinkedIn communicate that people who are more likely to engage are those people who switched on their open to work? Or is this your interpretation of what this thing is? Just trying to understand, that's all.
So the people who come first on the list, you get a whole list of people who correspond to the criteria, and the people who are more likely to respond are the ones who have chosen open to work. But it
And not
doesn't have to be a recent one. So
Okay, makes
that's
sense.
the thing. And open to work, just to clarify, so it's not the circle around your profile picture when it says with green open to work. That one is not searchable on LinkedIn. This is only a visual effect so that everyone in your network can see it. I personally, I'm against of using that, because it can bite you in the salary negotiations, and it's not doing you as many favors as you think. There are other ways to promote that. So I would not use that, but I would use the one that only recruiters have access to, that they can see.
The question about that, do you think this open to work hashtag on your profile picture is more damaging to your reputation from a recruiter's point of view? Is that not something you look for?
I would say that I don't say it's damaging, but I would think very, very carefully. What is my strategy? What do I want to, what is my goal? And if you put yourself in a position that you might come across as desperate, that you need to accept every offer that the company is giving you, then it's not helping you. So I would stand tall in my feet um, and do it in a different way to let your network know that you're open to new opportunities. This one is not the best solution, helping yourself.
and having this hashtag in your headline, does that help, or you don't think so? And I've just learned recently from Craig Langley that you can search the headline. Would you ever try to search headline as a sourcer recruiter?
All the keyword searches I do is on the whole profile, so not specifically only in the headline. Headline is more when people see you, when you have left comments in that way. But for recruiters, they can see it everywhere. So maybe there is. something else that's also new, more likely um, to engage, feels like engage with talent brand, have company connections or past applicants. So when I mean have company connections, if you are connected to somebody in the same company, no matter what, if it's a receptionist or a driver, you have company connections, which means that you are more likely to engage pool already. So I would be very strategic in my job search. If you have a dream company, reach out to other people in that company, because LinkedIn will put that forward. So it's not only good for you to do that, but you will also come up in searches, which was not the case in the past, or that you have been previously applying. So all those new features come up all the time that people are not even aware of, that it will have effect on the recruiters, how they find you.
Hmm. And how about what I was teaching for years, that if you are active on on the company's page, I mean, you comment on the company page posts, that helps you to get notified by both the hiring manager and the HR. Is that correct, or that's not the case anymore?
Well, I see that there is this new line called Engaged with Talent Brand, and I don't know exactly how they get that one, but it's very interesting, and that probably is from your engagement with the company and following the company, for example. So everything that you have been preaching about, I think now finally is caught up also in the way it's searchable. So it's not only as a good practice, but really that you will be found for that reason. Uh, and there is something that's also the employment type. So you can look for, it used to be only full-time, part-time contract, but now you can also go for internship, but also the time of the day that you want to work, like mornings, overnights, holidays. That really makes a difference if you specifically communicate that um, with LinkedIn.
Tina, I have two questions for you, if I may. The first question comes from Guy, who unfortunately can't join us because he's got a bit of a health issue today. Some people have the open to work on their profile, which is obviously visible. Um, but is it better that you switch that off, or is you have the parameter in your profile that you can say you're open for recruitment, which is only shown to recruiters. So is having that banner an advantage, or should you just go with the I'm open for recruiters, and then I can be searched by recruiters because I've told them that I'm open? And linked to that, and I'll ask my second question because it's linked to that. Do you have an idea of how many people, or percentage wise, have a recruiter seat that allows to search on this I'm open for work? And I'm done speaking.
I think it's very, very good questions. How many people have the LinkedIn recruiter version? I think in large corporations, I would assume that it's used, and I would see that also as advantage. competition advantage. If you're not paying for that, then your competition is, then your clients would go there because it's the most advanced tool at the moment. So I don't have exact numbers, and also there are issues with the open or which field recruiters can see. If it's somebody in your own company and then recruiters, it says that people in your own company can't see it, but if they work with a headhunter, I could eventually highlight that to the HR person, which is one of my closest collaboration partners, that there is somebody in your organization who is open to work. And so it's never only a secret outside your company. So be very cautious what you communicate. But there are many ways to communicate without that becoming a desperate call of help.
It's kind of funny because I had somebody last week in a training session who was working, who had a friend working at a recruitment company who was able to look into the other person's company and see who was looking for a job while the other person couldn't see it. It was kind of funny that people got caught that way, and that led to very difficult decisions or discussions, by the way.
I think you have to have those discussions internally in your own organization before you put up that information. But you like I have put up that I'm open to mentoring work in the Brussels region. So I have the open to work, but then you have to go inside and see. I think everyone is open to have a conversation about your dream job. So that could be a board member position. So it doesn't have to be that you have to leave by default your current employer. It can be different other options. And the first one was if could you please repeat that? That came from Guy. Mick. That if you have the
It was
Yeah, the first question really was about you have the green banners that says open to work, which everybody can see, versus the I'm open for recruiters, which is the small community of people who have that 10,000 euro per year subscription, right?
do you know if it's available on Recruiter
It's
Lite
not.
as well,
It is definitely not.
okay,
Definitely not because
okay.
I've had Recruiter Lite on in terms of doing some training on it, and there you cannot see it. It's a recruiter only, or corporate recruiter, or business recruiter only feature.
I think there are different ways to see if you're open to new opportunities. If you go to the experience section when your previous employment has finished, it's very easy to figure it out, do a calculation if you're open to work. So it's findable in various different ways, and I would focus more on the value that you will bring to the future company, because if you go in, I'm available, I can do anything for anyone. That doesn't put you in a good seat. It happens that people get unemployed overnight, but then there are so many other strategies reaching out one to one to your network, to have those conversations, which will be much more beneficial. But that's a totally different topic. But I wouldn't go for that one automatically. What is another field that's interesting? If I'm looking at the candidates page, um, it says may be open to changing jobs. So not the candidate that has said is open to changing job. And then LinkedIn says candidate has been longer than most colleagues in this organization. And this candidate has been at the company for 16.3 years on average. Brand managers at this specific company leave after 2.5 years. So this is what LinkedIn tells me. But at the same time, I have to take all this information um, because you can't take it for 100% truth. We are humans. There are so many other aspects that we don't know that we have to first talk to the person to find out what it's all about. But I get this indication that the candidate has been at the company 9.4 years. Average employees at this company leave after 2.7 years. So this is very interesting for the companies as well to have the benchmark. But there are so many individual factors that play in. So that's the information, the new type of information that started coming out end last year.
I have two questions, Tina. If I turn on a job application that apply with LinkedIn, does that really help? I mean, if I'm a job hunter, for me obviously it would help because I simply don't believe anymore in CVs because all my details are on LinkedIn. A little letter could help, but a CV, I guess it's not really helpful. And my other question is, I often see people write in their headline only that I'm open to new opportunity. I think it's even worse than the green um, banner or green stripe. Do you agree?
Well, it's very easy to give advice. So in the ideal situation, I would never recommend anyone to leave their current job if it's possible, but to start looking for a new job at the same time when you have a job. So you are in a more comfortable seat when it comes to negotiations. But at the same time, life happens, people change countries, so it's difficult to give advice. But in the ideal situation, you would have parallelly going to different applications so that different companies would give you offers at the same time. So you have something to compare with and a stronger negotiation point. That's so putting out that you are open to new opportunities. I think all of us, we are open to new opportunities. It really depends on which kind of opportunity it is. So I would be more specific what value you could bring and which type of opportunities than just average. Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question which is on the same lines. Is do you think recruiters ever look for somebody who has in their headline or anywhere in their profile open for new opportunities or ready for a new challenge or something along those lines? Because from my experience, I have seen very few recruiters or HR professionals even do this kind of a search. And if they do, they tend to look down on the profiles they find because they don't think it's professional. What do you think as a recruiter?
I I I wouldn't put any judgment into professional or not professional. It's really the way you position yourself, how you brand yourself. But I wouldn't say that I don't work with people who are unemployed, because you know when something is happening in your organization, the restructuring is going on. Um, when you get a call from a headhunter, then you start the conversation. So maybe when we are having a first conversation, you still have a job, but then during the process, your contract was finished. So that happens a lot as well. So because the recruitment processes take uh, take a while. It's really not overnight that a headhunter calls you and next day you are sent a contract. It really doesn't happen like that. If you read about it on LinkedIn, um, that's that really doesn't happen in reality. Maybe it could happen in a family company, but in large multinationals, there are so many levels of different stakeholders who have to be on board and to interview the person to get the approval. Also the online testings. So those things take time. By the time you're in the final stage, it takes several weeks to go through the process. So things can change in your personal situation, that you might not have active employment anymore. But so that can happen in reality. But specifically doing a search for open to work, no. For me, that's not the case, because most hiring managers, they even if they need the person yesterday, they know that people have the legal notice period that has to be respected. So um, yeah, that's what we all have to deal with.
Okay.
Uh,
And
Jumping back to my previous question about apply with LinkedIn, do you like if that is used, or you never, as a recruiter, as a freelancer recruiter, you never advertise a job post on LinkedIn, so you don't use it. But if you are a company, would you recommend someone to use the apply with LinkedIn button?
So I work as a headhunter, so I have exclusivity on the positions that companies are looking for, meaning that um, my job is to look for people who are not looking for actively for jobs to find a candidate, meaning that it's the opposite. They are not applying, but I am inviting them to apply for the position. And some of my clients, they have open positions, so the position is also on LinkedIn, and people apply through LinkedIn, but all those CVs land on my desk, and also internal candidates. So I interviewed them as well. But what I see most often when people apply through LinkedIn is that they haven't even read the job title. So you need specific skills to be able to apply for the position, and maybe one person out of 20 has the basic criteria to apply for the jobs. So it's often it's not targeted applications. It's people who are just applying for anything. If one keyword in the job description is correlating with yours, then they apply without having the other qualifications that are needed. So
So it's actually giving you more work than gaining anything, because you have to deal with a lot of applicants. Uh, what is in Hungary on the market where I work is not the case. We don't have enough people on the market, so they are not really people who are looking for a job, but maybe there are those who are still at work and they click on every apply with LinkedIn to see whether there is a better one. So if you would talk to a corporate recruiter, as I hear, you wouldn't tell them to use this tool because that's not really helping them.
Well, I think it's part of the employer branding as well, that it's shown which positions are open, that people can come and apply. But to be totally honest, like you said, in Hungary there are not enough people on the market. I would change it a little bit. There is the war on talent, so there are enough people, but not enough skilled, the skills that are needed for the last couple of searches I've done for companies in Belgium. We took people from outside Europe because we couldn't find that specific talent in Belgium or in Europe. So it's very specific skills that are needed and experiences. So it's very difficult to find it if you just go and apply to everything. I think the better approach would be, if you're not happy in your current position, is really make a dream list, what you're looking for and in which kind of companies you could find it, and then have conversations, because sometimes the job isn't even created, and nowadays we have to more adapt the job description to the candidate with what they come on board with, than actually in the old days it was the job description and you had to apply all of your experiences on it. Now it's more adapted to the job will be adapted to what you can bring, because everyone is different. Um,
In my company, I know that we are working for a corporation, and we search for people, we find a couple of them, and then we give them the list of open jobs, and they choose. So it's actually not us who are telling them that, hey, I want you for this, but hey, we are working for this corporation, and they are looking for people. Here is the list, please choose. And this is a very different approach from what I was thinking, how the world is working. And I'm done speaking.
yes, I think that's very much the case when it comes to let's say technical IT profiles. They have a lot of opportunities to choose from, so they can do it carefully, and like I said, in the old days it used to be the job description and you had to fit in. Now if the job is what's on the paper, if you will bring another skill that wasn't even on the job description, but that would be beneficial, and you through conversations the company realizes, okay, maybe yes, the digital part has become much more important during the past 2 years when many things went digital, so we focus on that part instead. So those things happen in conversations, and I think um, the job description is just a beginning of a conversation. Like your CV is also a marketing tool to get invited to the interview. Then you only can understand what's the strategy and how this position came to exist. And so I think it would be very interesting to have conversation with people in the organization who know about it, and in that way be presented by one of the em employees of the company. Because if an employee comes with a CV to HR on a position that I'm working with, then it automatically gets put on top of the pile of CVs, and most probably the person will get an interview um, if they have all the qualifications that are needed. But just that you have the internal recommendation, that speaks very loudly. And in some companies, there are the incentive programs that if you bring in a new employee, you will get a bonus of, I don't know, 5,000 or 10,000 euros. So it's that the employees are also engaged in helping find new talent, because through the traditional um, newsletter advertisement, and when you post something on LinkedIn, you will get so many applications that are not targeted, that people don't have the skills that's needed. They probably don't even read the whole job description. They just hope it sticks. Just you don't lose anything because it's digital, and you just try and maybe it works.
I can absolutely agree with that, because I have a problem with reading huge blocks of letters on one. If I'm on my mobile, so if there is a job description which is like two scrolls full letters, I simply cannot read it. And if it's in a LinkedIn post, then I write to the poster, the one who wrote it, and I ask the person to put at least in every two or three um, lines or sentences, um, a break, double enter, because otherwise I cannot even read it. And I don't know why. If I read a book, I have no problem with this. But if I'm on digital, I cannot read large chunks of letters. And when I see a job description which is only letters and none of a sentence, but like just a list of half sentences, not even bullet point, because they use bullet points, but not 5 words, but I don't know, 10 words. I'm just like, I don't know, my mind blows, and I simply go on. Or if I like the company, and when I was in the job hunting period, I just simply clicked on the apply with LinkedIn, and I left the job over to the recruiter. But coming back to what you said, the internal referral and the incentive bonuses. Okay, they are both in internal referrals. Or are these people are arriving to your computer as well? So you, as a recruiter, you are going to uh, work with them, or are these going straight to the corporation's hiring manager or internal recruiters uh, inbox?
So if I'm working on a search, it goes directly to me, and then I make the screening and have a conversation with the person and decide if it goes to the next level, which is talking to the hiring manager and being interviewed by HR to have comparison also with other candidates whom we have, um, because it takes a lot of research to research the market, what is available, and make the comparison to see if this person is really the best fitted for the role. Um, so another thing that recruiters can see if we have connections in common. So if I can see if the person is more likely to leave the position or the company, but also how many connections I have in common with the person. If it's an industry where I'm used to working, then it gives an indication about this person's network, because sometimes in commercial positions it's very important what quality network this person brings to the company. So it's not just about the years of business development and sales experience, but where can they open doors? Are those relationships up to date, and can they go in and open doors for the new company as well?
Wow.
So
So
yep.
it's not only the skills or the skill sets they have is the important um, point, but also as a social person as it is also important, because as I hear that you are not only focusing on this certain moment, but you focus on the future with this person and this person's network. This is a very interesting thinking and very inspiring thinking. Um, Tina, we have 10 minutes to go. Maybe we could ask someone or ask anyone from the stage to come and ask from you, because I didn't know how much you know, so maybe someone else has a good question as well. And
Yes, if anyone wants to come up, you're welcome to the stage. I have received back channel messages from Mumita. She has done very interesting posts, both about the open to work LinkedIn green ring, and so she has asked, would you wear the green ring around you to say you are open to work, even if you are not actively job hunting, but happy to look around? And then 68% said no, they would not. So that that's already interesting. So people who are not even looking for a job but would have it. So probably people who decide to put that ring are the ones who really need it. And another interesting poll that she did, do you have a dream job? And asking, are you in your dream job? Um, and let people say that, and the result was that 41% of the people are not in their dream job. So there are many people who say this thing, dream job, doesn't exist, but my personal opinion is that it exists, and it looks very different from person to person. To every different person you talk to, they have different criteria when it comes to if you want to do on-site work or remote work or hybrid work. Um, just different criterias. What is the most important to you? Um, Defining that, having that clarity, and communicating those goals with your network so they can help you towards organization. If it's, I just heard this weekend, a friend of mine wants to work for the United Nations. If that's what you want to do, tell that to your network so that if there are any opportunities over there, that they will mention your name when you are not in the room. So that's I think it's your responsibility to live your best life as well, to help others to guide you in the right direction when they know what you're looking for.
Recently, I had a dream about a place I always wanted to work for. It's a festival called Siget, the Island Festival,
Oh yeah,
and
I know it.
and
Yep.
and I've dreamt about it, that I've met some people working there, and I just told them, well, that was my dream to work there, and I don't know why I was dreaming about this, but once I worked in a dream job, um, and I was dreaming that this is the job I'm going to go to pension from, and then in, let's say, uh, half a year it was gone. So it was my dream went down with the 2010 um, um, financial crisis, or whatever, trust crisis or monetary crisis. Anyway, is this your dream job, Tina? Or let's ask those who we don't know yet: Purvi, Balpreet, and those we know: Cindy, Lou, Marjolene, uh, Guy we don't ask because he doesn't have sound today, Mumita and Jayant. Are you in your dream job?
I think it's um, it's infinite. So I think you have to leave with a purpose, and then it's never done. So you can always continue helping more people. Is there anything that you would like to mention, Thomas, that's coming up this week that you're excited about? Um, I think we definitely should mention John Experience Espresso Club membership that opens up today. Um,
Yes, the Espresso Plus. If you applied, I don't remember if I applied, but I certainly would love to be in it. And uh, what else do we have? Well, as you were talking about the in your post, what is mentioned up here, what's new on LinkedIn Recruiter, it just came up to my mind that I write a post about the premium prices, and I figured out that they changed the names again, which is very funny how they change the names here and there on LinkedIn, and then suddenly they um, misuse the names themselves. Um, but that's another day's talk, I think. Um, but I'm really excited about this headhunting, recruitment, sourcing on LinkedIn, because um, because I might have to train a company in the next week or so about how to use LinkedIn to recruit better. So certainly we'll learn a lot more about the talent solutions on LinkedIn. Um, but there is one question I wanted to ask. Are you only using um, LinkedIn for sourcing, or do you use X-Ray? Do you use tools like Social Talent Head, The Mentor, or tools like Seek Out, or any other tools? Are you using them? And we have only 2 minutes left, or so.
Okay, so the short answer, it depends on very much which type of recruitment it is. It also depends on the location. So there are geographic differences, but I would say the main tool is LinkedIn for multinational corporates, but there are so many different companies, startups where you would definitely benefit from looking on different sources. But I would like to thank you, Thomas, for the collaboration on my LinkedIn newsletter this month, for the Finno-Ugric collaboration. And if you want to learn more, tomorrow a Hungarian headhunter who is based in London will come to my LinkedIn Live, and we will discuss exactly the same topic, how headhunters use LinkedIn to find people. So, and next week we will be back with the bigger moderator team and discuss news on LinkedIn again. So, wishing everyone a very happy start of the week.